Can we start, Mark, or shall we wait for some time?
Let's just give them a few minutes. Let them just because this migration, don't want to leave some stuff behind.
Yeah. Because today this lecture is very important for migration purpose. Mostly people doing migration from the on-premises to cloud. So it is the same way, if either migration on AWS or Microsoft Azure or Oracle Cloud. So this lecture is very important. So while I just write something here.
Saya di sana. Oh.
So Lydia, tell me. Oh, no,
Okay.
Can we start, Mark? Or?
Sorry, Lydia, I was trying to ask.
Okay.
The three different relational database management systems. Which one do you feel more comfortable with?
To be honest, this time I have a lot of practice with Oracle. I really did. I'm able to configure DataGuard, Golden Gate, Rack, and I'm also very comfortable now with SQL Server. And I'm actually finding that when you have a foundation in Oracle, SQL Server is truly easy to understand. So I was not lost at all when Ayat was teaching. So for Postgres, for me, it looks similar to SQL Server, but I'm not done with the class. We just finished backup and recovery. So we still have to do disaster recovery and so on, but we're close to be done. He said three weeks left. So for me, it really doesn't matter which one. If I put myself like I'm trying to do, I'm just trying for him to finish because I'm home. I currently don't have a job. I quit my job just to do this. So I know that if I take 2 good weeks.
Just to let you know, you don't need to get where to finish that. Your comfortability with Oracle and SQL Server is good enough to get you a job. So put your CV up there.
Okay.
Yes, put your what you're going to put is that you're going to also let the recruiters know that you have some mastery of Postgres. But for now, you focus your target on having a job in Oracle or SQL Server.
Okay.
So of course, but we put some elements of Postgres. You can even put only up to backup and recovery. That's enough. And until when you finish whatever you want to add there, you can add. So since you have up to backup and recovery, you can still make sure that in Postgres, you have administered database in Postgres, precisely monitoring, done backup and recovery and stuff like that, and probably configuration. But when it comes to high availability, you didn't do it. But when you are finished with that, you can add it too. So there's nothing wrong. So since you are not yet working, come on, this week we put your CV together, and by next weekend you can get online.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I've spoken with you. I think you have the ability to go through, and you can go through. You don't need all of that to get to. You need all of that to convince somebody. And given what you have already learned, if they bring something in Postgres, you'll be able to discuss. What's vacuuming?
We discussed vacuuming. Yes, that's the.
Yes, I'm asking you now. What's vacuuming?
Oh, vacuuming is the process of removing all the dirty, all the, how can I say the term? They use a very specific term for that. The data that are no more, not the data blocks.
The process of removing dead tuples.
Removing data blocks that are no more needed.
No. Vacuuming is a process of removing dead tuples. Don't complicate your life. Dead tuples.
Yes.
And as I said, until
just make it simple. Dead tuples. Okay.
Yes. Until you get online, you will not get used to this terminology.
Okay.
You can trust me. Remember that you are in a class with other people and they'll be joining soon. You have to keep yourself 2-3 steps ahead.
Okay.
Because when they come in, they're going to flood the place. A job that probably you are supposed to be the only one to be interviewed. They'll be interviewing 5 different people.
Okay.
So do everything possible. So within this week, your CV is done, and I mean by weekend, this is your last official class. So you have nothing again to wait for.
Okay, good. Okay.
Edit, what Edit? Yeah, you've just come in. So tell us, what are you feeling about the job market? I've not seen you tell me. Edit, can you hear me? Edit, is she in? Can we go ahead? We are already 20 minutes on time.
Yeah. Okay. So today our agenda is, we go through how to migrate Microsoft SQL Server from on-premises to the Microsoft Azure cloud. So I will go with the demo step by step. We will do that. So before starting the demo for cloud migration, I just review. I just give you some overview. For example, if you join some company ABC as a DBA role, so these are steps which I the wrote. You can see the steps in the notepad, right? So step one will be they will provide you a database server access based on your role and responsibility, because your role and responsibility is a DBA role. So they give you a SQL Server environment, the server host name, IPs, and access to these servers. And then they grant you access as a sysadmin role, because you are the one who will manage the database servers. Okay. And it can be possible, maybe in the company they have more than one database server, because mostly the company they have SQL Server based on application requirement, such as I can say, for example, in one company they are running Blackboard application, and they are running more than 2-3 application. So maybe there is some requirement to have separate physical or virtual server, database server for each application separate. So mostly company, medium level company, they will not do like that. They will build a big cluster with the with the more compute power based on sizing of applications, and they can have one SQL Server environment. In one SQL Server environment, they can have many database instances. Under instances, they have many databases. So because I was someone talking about Oracle. So Oracle and SQL Server, two different things, because different database system. Like SQL Server, you have one database instance. Under one database instance, you have many databases. And other hand, if we talk about Oracle, in Oracle we have users. Users is a schema. So in Oracle we have one database with one instance. Okay. So if we need other database, we need to create separate instance for that database. So if I summarize, Oracle have uh, multiple instance with multiple databases. SQL Server have one instance with multiple databases. So this is a major difference. But Oracle 18c or 19c, they introduced new concept, which is container databases. So pluggable databases. What they said, okay, you can have one parent container database. Under this container, you can create many pluggable databases. But definition is same. In Oracle, one instance will have one database. But in SQL, we have one instance. Under one instance, we have many databases. Got that? Same PSQL, the Postgres, this is the same concept, like SQL Server. So in the one database, you have many schemas. PSQL is like, Oracle, like, you have one database instance. Under one database instance, you have one database. You can have also multi-databases in one instance. Sorry, as Postgres is like SQL Server. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Postgres is a SQL Server. Like you have one instance. Under one instance, you have one database. Multiple databases. Under multiple databases, you have multiple schemas, right? But in SQL Server and Postgres is the same. Oracle is a different. So
Yes.
yeah, so Oracle, you have one instance, one database. So they actually they are targeting like SQL Server. They create they introduce container database, pluggable databases. So for example, is the cloud concept, right? Because if one company have Oracle environment, Oracle database, they offering the database as a service to the customer. So what they will do, they create one parent database. Under one parent database, they can create many pluggable databases, and these pluggable databases they can offer to the customer. So each pluggable database, you can say it is one customer. Okay, so admin sitting on parent database, and all pluggable databases are our customers. So it is a multi-tenant architecture. Okay. So in
Okay.
Oracle, you can go with the multi-tenant architecture. You can create one parent environment, and in parent, you can have many pluggable databases. These pluggable databases, you can say it's customer. Okay. So this database for this customer, this database for this customer. So you can do that. But in SQL Server, it is you have to have a separate instance for each customer, right? So each
Right.
customer will have own database instance and will have own databases. Okay, so we talk about the any company, they will not, mostly they will not use the SQL Server level authentication. They always use Windows authentication. I give an example in my second lecture, because for example, if we have 10 employee, they are working on one database system. So for example, 2 DBA and 8 developer. So this is not a right practice to create all users in SQL Server. So what we will do as a DBA role or as a system administrator, we grant them based on their Active Directory users. Okay. For
Okay.
example, I join one company. When I join one company, they create one Active Directory account for me. Okay, to for email purpose, for the single sign on purpose, or any authentication purpose. Okay, so this
Okay.
user, they will grant you in the database, because in SQL you can search the use, because SQL Server is the integrated application with the Active Directory. Okay,
Okay.
so when you search the user in the security, server security, you can browse the Active Directory object. Okay, so mostly, in organization, they have SQL Server, which is the member of Active Directory. Okay, so the real scenario, if for example, we have one database server in one company, maybe they have two accounts. One is a service account, which is only related to SQL services, right? This is the Active Directory account. And second account will be the permission to allow you to access specific database. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, I give you one more example. Like in one company, you have one database server. Under one database server, one instance. Under one instance, you have 5 databases. So each database have separate application. For example, okay. So 5 people, 5 application accessing the single instance. Okay. So if we grant, for example, we want to grant each user, because each user have own database, right? So we will not allow him to access other databases. Okay.
Okay.
So as a DBA role, our responsibility is to grant only specific permission for specific database. Okay. So he can just only browse or see the object only his respective database. Not he will not see any data or any object for other databases. Okay, so this is the security. Then we talk about backup and recovery. Backup and recovery is also very important as a DBA role. As we mentioned, each company have own policies, backup policies. Because my suggestion, my recommendation, when you join some company, your first question should be asked, what is your backup policy? Okay. So what is your
Okay.
business backup policy? If they said, okay, we have this RTO, RPO, which I explain in my lectures. So based on this, you have to go to the database server, log into the database server, and verify what they said, this is correct or not, right? So verify, double check, and if there is something missing, you can inform them. Because if you lose data, you might lose the job. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is the major responsibility is DBA to see database backup is scheduled properly. or they are using native backup, or they are using third-party backup software, how they are taking backup and how they are restoring. And in backup and recovery, any database, any RDBMS or NoSQL databases, taking backup is a very easy step. Okay, you can take backup. It is very easy step. The restore is very difficult step. Okay, so if you are not able to restore backup, so your backup is useless, right?
Right.
If you are taking backup, you are not validating, you are not verifying the backup which you are taking. That means if disaster came, or some data corruption happened, or some indexes corrupted, or something happened, on the database, and may you are not able to restore. Okay, so validation and verification is a very important in backup and recovery. Okay. Then
Okay.
final step will be the monitoring. So this monitoring, I talk about, I give in, the role and responsibility, day-to-day task, weekly task. So you have to go with the disk, monitor the disk, monitor the CPU usage, monitor the RAM usage, and day-to-day check the SQL Server database dashboard, activity, what is happening on the database instance. If someone, because in my experience, I've been working since 20 years on the database system, different database system, platform independent experience I have. So in my experience, I feel mostly, the people saying, okay, we are not, our application is very slow, or we are not able to access application. Morning time it was okay, but after 1 hour or 2 hour, it giving slow response. So this is what I show in the last, the last lecture. You can go to the report and see which object are locking, right? Is there any deadlock, or is there any object log? Is there any object is not releasing the log? So these all things, day-to-day task. And most important thing is SQL Server is a memory hungry application. Okay, it will take too much resources,
Okay.
memory resources. Okay, so memory resource, for example, if you have 16 GB in your laptop RAM, so it will allow you 1 GB or 1.5 GB to OS for operating system, and other all rest of the RAM it will occupy as a SQL Server instance. So it is a memory hungry application. So this is also DBA responsibility to do proper sizing. Okay. For example, in some company, in one company, ABC company, they have new application deployment. Okay. And they will, as a DBA role, they will send you, okay, we are going to deploy this application under SQL Server. So what is your recommendation as a DBA role? How you will do sizing? Okay. So you can do proper sizing based on, their requirement. So this is also very important. And third, the next thing is migration. Migration is, day to day, it depends on requirement. If you are working some professional services company, because there is day to day job, right? They are doing migration day to day. And
Right.
if you are working some client side or some, as an end user side, this task is not frequent, right? So this is based on requirement. But if you are working professional services as a DBA role, so you have to know how to do proper migration from one server to other server, from one instance to other instance, from one environment to other environment. Okay. Then we have
Okay.
high availability and disaster recovery. High availability mean you have high level. I mentioned earlier, high availability on the same place, right?
Yes.
In one data center, in physically one data center. So the disaster recovery on remote location, right?
All right.
Disaster mean if you have state one data center, state two second data center, so you can set up disaster recovery between the sites. Okay, but high
Okay.
availability on the same place, because, for example, we have two server database server which is high available. If one server goes down, so other can take over. So it can be active, it can be active, passive. It's based on requirement. Okay. So this we cover. If you have any question, you can ask me now. Otherwise, I will start, because today our agenda is to complete, give you a demo. You are a DBA, you are joining one company. They give you one task. This is a major task. They wanted to move from on premises to Azure cloud databases. Mostly company doing that. Okay. So mostly because, nowadays due to COVID, and, also, cloud is, mostly people moving to cloud to, cut off the cost for employment and recruitment and also maintenance, and cutting their budget. Okay.
Okay.
So they don't want to keep resources under they don't want to keep 10 to 15 resources in company, because if they go to the cloud, the cloud mostly do the task. Okay. So as a
Okay.
DBA role, it depends which service you are using in the cloud. If you are using platform as a service, it's a different role. If you are using software as a service, it is a different role. If you are using database as a service, it is a different role. It is huge, right? So the DBA job will never end. So everywhere DBA have to do some task, right? This is a good thing. So DBA job is a secure job. So mostly other people like network admin or system admin, maybe they have chances to lose, right? Because when they move to the infrastructure, to the cloud, may because company don't doesn't require the task for them, right? So they can may lose the job. So DBA is a key role which they need any point of time. Like if they are using it, as I mentioned, any type of cloud services, they need DBA. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So if you have question till now,
Yes, I
this
have a question just out
yeah
of curiosity. Yes, I noticed that when you do the log shipping,
yeah
and now that the primary database has become the standby, and the standby has become the primary, is not easy to reverse. So
that's right.
now, if you want to continue with the higher disaster recovery, so you need to reconfigure the log shipping again from scratch.
That's right.
Okay.
You have to do, for example, server A, you have primary, right?
Yes.
And you are shipping the log in one folder, right?
Yes.
And then you are copying this folder to secondary server, right? Okay. Then you are applying the log to the secondary server, right?
Sure.
Okay. When you lose this node, server A, okay, so your database on secondary server is a standby, right? So you
Yes.
need to do because it is a no recovery stage, or because it is a read only for you, right? But it is
Right.
not read write. So you need to restore with the recovery option. When you do the restore recovery option, it will go to the folder where you are copying the log. Okay. And it will make restore with the recovery. You got that?
Yes.
So your secondary server become primary, and primary server is not available. Okay.
Okay.
When you power on the primary server, it is still logs, it is still as a primary. There is no role for him. Automatically by default it will become secondary. Okay. So
Oh,
you
okay.
need from here to here, then again you need to drop the database from the here, from the primary server, then you do all exercise back.
Okay.
Okay. But if you use database mirroring,
Mm-hmm.
then it is the automatic failover. You can set automatic
Okay.
failover. You can set uh, manual failover. If you need automatic failover, you need witness server between two nodes, right? So witness is
Okay.
basically heartbeat between two servers. Okay, if one
Okay.
goes down, it will automatically send alert to the other node. Okay, this server become it is not available, unavailable. Okay, this server is
Okay.
not available, so it will move, it will fail over automatically to the secondary server. Okay,
Okay.
but then SQL recommended method is don't put the automatic failover. It should be manual failover, because if automatic failover, maybe you lose some data. For example, in node A, someone is doing some changes, right? So mostly, people recommend to have a manual failover.
Okay.
So this is a DBA job to maintain the failover and all. It's all it depends on requirement. Okay.
Requirement.
And
So, but
third
now
thing,
if the crash happened on Sunday and that the DBA is not at work, what is going to happen if
no,
there is a crash?
if there is a crash happen, but you have logs there, you have transaction log
Okay.
is there, so you can
Mm-hmm.
go with the tail SQL transaction log and restore point in time recovery, because
Yes.
this is not only, this is for DR. We are not talking about backup. You are also have backup. Second thing.
Yes.
So backup is happening daily, weekly full, for example, daily differential, and
Differential and then
every
logs.
10-minute T log.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you have DR is only for DR. Backup is separate thing.
Okay. I got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So let me just add something to what you said. You see, the question you asked is a very technical question. So if you have your environment and you think that in the case of a crash on say a weekend where there's nobody, you don't want to tolerate that, that is where you go for high availability. High availability means that when that crash happens, the system will automatically fail to the available server.
Okay.
So you don't need a DBA to do it. But in the case of log shipping, you need a DBA to do it. So these are the things you take to plan for your disaster recovery and to plan for availability.
Yeah.
Okay.
The crash, see, what Mark said, it is very correct, but you have to consider what type of crash happened. Maybe some table drop.
Mm-hmm.
If one database have 3000 table object, right? So if one table drop, this is not crash happen, this is a user mistake, right?
Yes.
So if user do mistake, then there is no high availability, right? You already drop, right? So in this case, because in high availability or disaster recovery, your both node is sync mode, is a sync. If you do some changes on node A, it will automatically happen in node 2, right?
Okay.
Obviously, if you are using log shipping, you log shipping, what happened? Log shipping mean it taking the transaction log backup, right? So
All right.
when you delete some record from server A, it will take backup in the interval 15 minutes and it will ship to the secondary. It will apply to the secondary. So you have both nodes, same data. So here, in this case, you have recovery, right?
Right.
So if high availability mean if you have one servers physically down,
Okay.
physically down, right? Then you have other server is available for you. This is high
Okay.
availability, right?
All
If
right.
so, this is a different scenario. You know how, and third scenario is in high availability. There is a different methods. For example, they are using Microsoft cluster. Just to give you information, okay? Microsoft
Okay.
cluster. In Microsoft cluster, you can have active, you can have active passive,
I see. Mm-hmm.
okay? So maybe you have another method for high availability, there is a always on. SQL always on. This always on is a replica like Postgres. In the Postgres, you have different replica. For example, under one cluster, you can have many replica.
Okay.
So this is also very, this started from 2012. This is also mostly people using, because this always on is a complete, it is 8-9 hour, to build. SQL always on. You need for
Okay.
SQL always on, you need Active Directory, you need 2-node, you need cluster services, you need network resources. So it is 8-9 hour, course. This one.
Yes.
This what I talk, Microsoft cluster, and these two method is a complete course. Okay.
Okay.
So this mostly people using the database mirroring, database mirroring
Okay.
is the best option. It is free. There is no cost. And good thing is it is on database level. It is okay. I just mentioned one difference here. The log shipping and database mirroring is a database level.
Yes.
But SQL always on and Microsoft cluster is an instance level.
Oh.
This is a very important point. In the Microsoft cluster or always on, it will not, this one, I just make mistake. The Microsoft cluster is an instance level, always on, database mirroring, log shipping. These three method is a database level, because this is a native from Microsoft.
Okay.
Log shipping, log and mirror and SQL always. These are database level, DB level. Not DB, database level. For example, in one instance, you have 10 database. So each database you have to configure.
Okay.
Okay. But in Microsoft cluster, this is instance level.
Okay.
You have one instance, it will fail over instance level. So this is the, the high availability, correct high availability,
Okay.
Yeah. So you can have active cluster, you can have active passive cluster. So this is a cluster concept,
Okay.
So because here job is a system admin build cluster for you, okay, and then handed over to DBA. So basically,
Okay.
this cluster job is a system admin job.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the little difference, So you have many options. You have log shipping, you have always on, you have Microsoft cluster, you have database mirroring. So they can ask you question, how many DR technology, how many native technology Microsoft using for disaster recovery? So you can tell them, one is the log shipping, second is the database mirroring, third is always on. These three are native by Microsoft.
Okay.
SQL Server. Got that?
Thank you.
Okay. Now today our, I think I revise all lectures what we cover. So if you have any question, anything, you can WhatsApp us. We can give you help. Anything, you can send off WhatsApp and we can see and help you. Okay. So
No
if you
problem.
see here migration. I really, before, the previous class, I just give you little introduction about the cloud. This is very simple for just to cover basic thing. In your laptop, you have different resources. You have RAM is the resource, disk is the resource, network is the resource. So, if you club these resources, it will become cluster. You got that?
Okay.
Okay. For example, you have RAM resource, you have server resources, you have network resources, you have storage resources. Okay. So if you club in one, it will become cluster.
Okay.
So, so Microsoft Azure basically work on resources. Okay. For example, in our migration, we have SQL server. Okay. DB server. This is a one resource. We have network resource. We have storage resource. We have Active Directory resource. If you club all, okay, it will become resource group, right?
Yes.
So, so in today lab, what we will do, I already share, on WhatsApp, what we will do today related to migration. So, in my machine, I have SQL Server running natively. Okay.
Okay.
If you see here, this is I install on my laptop. It is on my laptop. Okay. I also send you wide world import data. This is for testing purpose. If you do some R&D, some testing, you can download from GitHub. I already shared the link, right?
The link, yeah, I saw the link. Mhm.
So you can download like sample schema in Oracle, same like you have in Postgres, also the sample schema. Okay. So
Yes.
this is a sample schema you can download and you can restore. After restoring, I have this database. Okay.
Okay.
So my target is to migrate this database to Azure Cloud. Okay. You join one
Okay.
company, they give you access, you log into Studio. After logging to Studio, you have two databases need to be migrated to the Microsoft Azure. This is your task. How to do that? This we cover step by step today.
Okay.
Did you get chance to create the Azure account, free tier account? No.
No, I did not because I wanted to follow the whole procedure before I can try it to and finish it.
Okay. If you go here, I have already Azure account, right?
Mm-hmm.
So see how many I created. So
I
it is
see.
free. So just for testing. So I log into my Azure account. You can log in Azure portal, Azure login portal. Okay.
Okay.
You can go to this same page. So this I logged in and you can see here, because my free tier, I created very old account, this one. So they won't allow me to free tier. They asked me to recreate account. So what I did, I create educational purpose. Okay.
Okay.
So this is my educational Azure account. So if I go to home page here, you see here, these are
Yes.
all resources.
Resources.
Okay. So first I will create one user. Because for example, if you are working one company, they will not give you a root user access for their cloud, right?
Okay.
So for example, I am a customer. I came to you. I need Azure uh, resources. Okay. So what you will do, you will create one user for me and allow me only for specific user, you will grant me uh, permissions based on my requirement. You will not give me whole everything, right?
Right.
So first we need to, because see, any Microsoft product, so you always think about Active Directory. Okay. Active Directory is a very important. This is not the DBA job, but Active Directory, you should know what is Active Directory. Active Directory basically LDAP directory services. So in organization, each computer or each user, each account is a member of Active Directory. So Active Directory is a normal thing. You can go about this. So first we create the user. See, by default, when you create the account, you have one account by default.
Okay.
This account is a root user, is a super user. It have all resources access. Okay.
Okay.
But we don't want to give this account to other people. We need to create user for them with the specific permission and give it to them. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just creating one user. I put my daughter name here, Arich. Okay. So I just put her name and Arich. So just these two compulsory. So I just put just for testing purpose, right?
Okay.
So it will auto generate password. I don't want to auto generate. I need to set the password. Anyway, in first login, you have to reset.
Okay.
This is the initial password. When you logged in, you have to reset. So I will not give any role. By default configuration, I will create one user without any resources. Without any resources. Just creating one user account. Okay?
Okay.
Create. So you see here, user is created. You can see the here
Yes.
message. Yeah,
Successfully created. Okay.
created. Now I log into this account which I created. Here you can see everything. When I logged in, you will not see anything.
Okay.
If I click here, oh no, this one, this user, right? So this is account. I just copy
Okay.
and log out. I put here. Next.
Okay.
See, first time I logged in, it asked me to change the password.
Okay, I see.
Okay.
So it's like when you create the user and you put the password is going to be retired at the first login.
That's right. This security.
Okay.
Now you have to give the complex password, otherwise it will not accept.
Okay.
Because this is a security.
You know, one of the reasons why these things happen is because you want to protect your own self. You don't need to know users their password, because something goes wrong. They say, oh, that DBA who created the password, who created the account, must have been the one doing it.
Oh, okay.
So
that's for security then.
Yeah, so when you create the user, that user can never refer his doings to you. Because once he logged in the first time, he could not continue until he changed his password to personalize it.
Okay.
And so you are free.
That's
okay.
right.
Okay.
You can see here, there is no resources. You cannot create any database. Okay.
Okay.
So I log into my account, the root account. This is my root account.
Okay.
So here in the search box, I will go SQL Server. You see here.
SQL Server, yes.
You can type here SQL Server database. Okay, so I'm creating one SQL Server database because for migration, I need to have a database up and running in Azure cloud, right?
Okay.
So I am just creating the new SQL Server. So see here, my subscription is a student. In your
Okay.
case, if you have free tier, you will see the free tier.
The free tier. Okay.
So first I will create the resource group because I need to club all resources in one resource group. So I put create resource group, SQL Server, test RG. Okay. SQL test
Okay.
RG resource group. Then here server name, this is your SQL server name, database server name. Okay. So I will put SQL SRV test. See, name already used. So I can put TST. Already used. I can put MS SQL SRV 1. No, already exist. Many.
Oh.
So I put SQL mark SRV 1. No, this will not exist. Right?
Okay.
SQL mark SRV 1. Okay. So this is a location where you want to keep. So by default, I choose because I'm free user.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my, you can create the server admin account here. Okay. So this is the option. Okay. So I can
Okay.
create mark admin. Okay. And I will put the password. Review and create. You see here, this is my basic
Yes.
subscription. This is I created one resource group, and this is my database server name, host name, and this is my user who logged into the server. Okay.
Okay.
This is a SQL Server account. This is not a Windows authentication account. I will explain to you. Okay.
Okay.
Create. So it is initializing the deployment. So now you will have two resources. One is a SQL database. You have one resource group. Under one resource group, you have one resource, right? Which is a SQL Server, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it will take little time to create. Deployment in process. You see the status deployment here down, accepted.
Accepted. Mm-hmm.
So it is going on still. Any question till now? You understand?
Yes, yes, I
We are going to
understand.
create one user, okay? Because the user should be each customer will have own account, right?
Okay.
So it's done, completed. Go to resources. So this is your SQL Server created, right? This is your server name, and two things is still pending. The Active Directory admin is not configured yet because, as I
Okay.
mentioned, you have your SQL Server should be member of any Active Directory in the real scenario. In the real, if you join some.
Okay.
So I need to make, because you remember I create account, right? This is my AD account. This
Okay.
is my Active Directory account. Microsoft Azure Active Directory account. Okay. Just keep in
Okay.
mind. So if I go to click here, not configure, it will ask me, you want to set admin? I said, okay, set admin I already created user, which was name, I think, Arij. Okay, this one.
Average, yes. Mhm.
So I just select this account. It's set Active Directory admin. I save. So now what I did, I created one user, which is the Active Directory user. Then I created one resource group. Uh, under under resource group, we have one SQL Server database. Okay, server.
Okay.
In this server, we allow our account, Active Directory account, to access this SQL Server. Okay, this we done. If we go
So
back,
that means now Arish can access that SQL Server account, that
yeah,
SQL Server. Okay.
yeah, she can access the the SQL Server account, SQL
Okay.
Server database, SQL Server.
Okay.
If go back to the there, so I want to access remotely from my laptop. Okay, so I can set the firewall setting. If you go to firewall setting, I will say, okay, this is my public IP which I am getting on my laptop.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I tell him, okay, I need, please add my IP to firewall, allow me. So I just
Okay.
add this IP and save. So only this IP mean my laptop can access the SQL Server database server only.
Okay.
You will try, you are not. If you want to access, I need to add your IP in my firewall. You got that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So now our SQL Server is configured successfully. Okay. If I copy this one, the server name, copy, open studio, connect, database engine. This is my server name, and this is Azure Active Directory password. You remember I said each Azure account, portal account is Active Directory
Okay,
password.
director. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I just here, I think I have a reach, right? This one.
Yes.
So I can copy this one, paste, and I put the password, which I did. Okay. I,
Okay.
I can connect. Okay.
Okay. So right there at the bottom.
Yeah. I just,
Oh.
this is my Azure SQL Server database, which I created
Okay.
in front of you. Okay. So
Yes.
here, if you see, there is no user database. There is only system databases.
System. Okay.
So this service is a database as a service, right? You don't care who is managing your server. You care only about your database.
The data. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now the next target is we need to migrate our one of them data. I can take this one just for
Good
example.
morning. Excuse me, please.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
I just have a little question. When you were creating the user, you made mention of granting the user privileges or not granting them privileges. So this user that you create, if you want to grant them specific privileges, is it the same way you do it, or you have
That's
another
right.
way?
No, same way, same way.
That means if you create the user like this, you are giving the user like a sysadmin privileges. Is that right?
No, this user is a Active Directory account I created, right? In Azure. So you remember when I create user, when I create the database server, I set as an admin user, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will show you here. If you go here, yeah, this you see here, this one, it was not configured.
Okay.
When I create, because I created through the root my account, not from a user which I created. I am creating from my account, which is an admin
Okay.
account, which is, this is the admin account, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this user I created, right? This user I created. And
Yes.
this user I created, why? Because I need to give this DB server access to that user only. You got that? If I go here, you see set to admin. You will see many users are there. You got that? But I need to
Okay.
give specific user permission to that DB server.
Okay, so you just granted the user the
Set as
permission to
admin.
access. Okay.
Set to the admin. So this user, Arid, is an admin for this DB server.
Okay, so in this process, what do you call it? Are you granting her all the role or just admin role only?
This is the only admin role because you are owner of this database server. So you are a
Okay.
customer. You are not as, if I need SQL Server database as a service from the Azure, so they will create for me one user and they will give me admin privileges on my SQL Server, right?
Okay. Okay.
So they will not control my SQL Server. This is my responsibility to manage SQL Server database server, right?
All right. Okay.
Okay. So after that, if you want to allow someone in your organization, you can create user from yourself in your SQL Server database, right?
Hello,
Okay.
Hayat. Hello.
Hi, hi,
Hi, I'm Matt. I
hi,
just want
Matt.
to, yeah, good. Is it a sysadmin job or is it a DBS job?
This is a sysadmin job to create for you.
Okay, thank you.
This is a,
Going-
actually it is a mix. You can say nowadays it is a mix. It's a sysadmin and DBA both doing this task, but it is a Azure admin job to create DB server and give you the access which I am how I accessing the server, right?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Hayat.
So,
Yeah.
so is it that you can only grant user admin role, like just admin role?
No, this is Azure admin. This is not SQL Server ad. See, we are
Yeah,
just
I'm talking about the user we created. Like you can only grant them the admin role.
this
Okay,
is
Hayat, a moment. Hayat, a moment. Hayat,
this
can
is
you hear me?
admin. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, see, Hayat,
Mr. Mark, your voice is very far away. We can barely hear you.
can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay, so Hayat is the process of doing migration, and there are different processes. And this is taking the first step. To do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. Do not miss this, do not mistake this with how you manage things in Azure.
Yeah.
Now, in the process of you migrating, you will need a user in Azure Cloud to be able to handle this migration.
Okay.
And you can only be an admin to be able to do that. Once you have now successfully done that, you can now create different users and give them the privileges that they deserve. Whatever the case, you need somebody with admin privileges to be able to copy, install, and do whatever configurations you are doing. Because not any kind of user can do it. You need an admin privilege to do it. Then after, when your system is completely set up, you can now create users with lower privileges. So the first user who is going to manage the migration should have admin privilege. This is not debatable.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, what Mark said is very correct, but I just wanted to mention this is just demo. I am doing till now I did system admin task. You got that? Creating user, creating the DB server. This is Azure system admin job. My job will start now as a DBA role. You got that?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
When I start migration from SQL on premises to Azure, this is my job as a DBA role, right? So creating
Okay.
server, creating user account, creating the shared storage for you to keep backup. These all job is a system admin job. But as a Azure, for example, if you are joining Azure as a solution architect, right? So as a solution architect, you should have knowledge, right? What is the resource? What is the storage resource? What is the Active Directory? What is the admin account? How to create admin account? How to these job is a solution architect in the cloud language, right?
Yeah.
So as a solution architect, you should know the basics. Okay. So to
Yeah.
understand how to create the resources, how to club the resources, how to manage the resources, this all, sometimes is a mix up. It's a system and DBA both together, they can do together. Okay. So the role and responsibility, because we are still working on the server, right? We did not work on the database, right?
Right.
We are working on DB server. We create
Yeah.
one account, Windows account. I give you example. We create one Windows account. Don't consider Azure, okay? We create one Windows account. Under one Windows account, we install SQL Server.
Okay.
Okay, so this is on premises, but in cloud, we create one account, it install for us SQL Server by Azure team. We did not install SQL Server software, right? We just requested, they created one DB server, which is by default, SQL Server is a natively installed because this service is a database as a service. It is not a platform as a service. This is the database as a service.
Okay.
When we ask Azure, okay, we need a SQL Server database as a service, but they will give you this information. If you go here, what they will give you a server name. This is not your job to create the server. And they will give you this account. Okay? And they will allow you the firewall. When you have these two things, you can log into the SQL Server database, right?
All right.
So here, this is your DBA job start now.
Okay.
If you want to allow some user, you can create the account based on your requirement in the database. You are not authorized to create account in the Azure. You got that?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let real work start. Okay. So what I do, the second step, I need to create one store, shared store on Azure. Okay. Where I can keep my, this is my source. This is my target, right? This is my source database. This is my target database instance, right? So my target is to migrate this database to the Azure database server, right? So then migration, there is many method to do migration. You can make log shipping, you can configure database mirroring, you can configure, take offline backup and copy and import the backup. There is a many way to do migration. And there is one more way is they have migration service application, which is the DMS. So you can use the migration tool natively by Azure. Okay, so but I will give you in this demo how to do by yourself without using native tool. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is also native method, but this is the best recommended method to do this migration. If you have more than 100 databases, 10 databases, you can do gradually one by one.
Wow.
Okay. So if this is my source server and this is my target server, my target is to create this, take the Azure backup type and keep this backup on Azure storage, okay, on my Azure account. How I will do that? I need to create one NFS or SIF share on Azure where I can keep the backup. Then from this backup, I can import the database to Azure cloud. Okay. So first I need to create, the share folder. You can see shared folder. That means in Azure, we have storage account. storage account. You see here. This is, I'm creating the one shared, storage resource. You can say storage resource. Okay. So I just add the resource. So I will use my existing resource. I created this one. I will keep this resource under this resource group. Okay.
Mm.
This resource group under this resource group. And I put the storage. This is my shared disk 1. Okay. You will see how it will work. Okay. Just follow with me, then we will revise one time. Okay. So what I am doing, I am creating one shared folder on Azure storage to have backup of my source database. Then I will restore to my Azure database. Okay. So let me do that. This is by default because I will not pay anything. So I'm using free educational purpose. So I just go with the default. You can choose option based on your requirement. So I will just create one disk, one share folder, create. Here is a summarized detail. You can see here. Create. So it is creating. This I create, the storage have different type. We have shared storage, we have file storage, we have block storage, different type of storage, right? So for example, if you have file storage, that means you can access through internet, right? Like I give you example like Gmail, OneDrive, Dropbox, right? You can copy your data and you can access through the link, right? This is like that. If I go to here, the storage resource is created for me. This resource is created, but I need to create one container where I can keep. You can create container, you can create file share, you can create based on your requirement. So I will create one container where I keep my backup. I just put the name, add container, DB backup 1. So I know anonymous access. Here is the access. You can allow specific user to access this share folder, or you can go with anonymous because this is our testing. So I go with the anonymous, create. So this public access level private. So this folder is accessible through this account privately. Private, I can access through my account this share folder. I can show you how to do that. So what I did, I just revised. I create one storage resource under my resource group, and then I create one container, one bucket under my storage resource group. Okay. So now I go to, no, this job till now, this job is a system admin job. Okay. Now I'm going to do migrations, start migration. If I go here, right click here, task, go to export database, data tier application. You see here. Click on
Yes.
that. Next. See here, you can say the local drive. No, we don't want to save on local. We need to save on Azure storage. Okay. When you click here,
Okay.
connect, it will ask username, password. So this is my account, right? I connect to Azure. You see here, this is my subscription. You see Azure for Student, right? And then I come here, I see the user account which I created. See, shared disk 1, the storage account which I created, right? If you go down, you will see the container,
Yeah.
DB backup 1. So what it will do, it will connect to shared disk 1's account, and it will export my database, full database, and keep in DB backup 1. Okay, you will see here. Okay, where is the container? This one, backup. Next, finish. It will while little time because it depends how much data you have. Okay. So what it will do, it will export full database. Like you can say, it will take full database backup and copy backup to the shared folder in Azure.
All right. Why is doing? Hey, I have a question. Can we
Yeah.
do the same with blob storage or blob images?
It can be possible, but yeah, there is a many way. You know, I will show you here.
Because with the blob, usually with the blob, it's large files with large videos, large images, and
Yeah,
it might take a lot of time.
Yeah, it because mostly it is depends of database size. For example, if you have 1 TB database size, you will not go with this practice, right? You will have to have the special bucket, or they have snowball, right? Snowball.
Okay.
They will send it to you. You can copy data there. They will take data from you, and they will, mostly they will make VPN tunnel between on premises to your data to Azure cloud. It is the private communication, IP to IP, right?
Yeah.
It is not like that. This is only you can do. You have IP to IP connectivity. Okay, you can go with this method.
Okay. Good. Yep.
So either you can have direct connection with the Azure from on premises, or you have SSL VPN between both endpoint, right? So this is based on requirement. So see, this is uploading the backup. It will take the full snapshot, full physical backup database, and it will move to the Azure storage. If we go here to Azure, we can refresh. Still nothing is there. So it will come. See, it is migrating. So you have any confusion or any question?
Yeah, just a follow-up question. We could also use the like how you call that, Visual Studio, right, to migrate directly to Azure Cloud.
Yeah. You can. There is a many way. I told you. There is a many way. You can go with this is the first option I'm using. You have SQL Studio Management, generate script, use import export data method. You can have data migration assistant wizard, which is the DMS. This is the Microsoft native method. You can use this one. You can set up transactional replication. The make between two endpoint direct connection or something like that. You can also use PowerShell, SQL package, and also SSD tool. There is a many way, It's the best option. I use mostly this one.
Okay.
It is depends on size,
Yeah.
Because this database is 250 MB.
Wow. Okay.
And we are also using free tier, so we have very small storage, very small compute resources, right?
Oh yeah. I did that. I was asking the question just because I did ones with the Visual Studio. Like you go and you create the
Project.
SSI DB.
Yeah.
You migrate directly. So it went well, and I had to do the blob, kind of like a database with so many images and videos, just to see how it worked.
Yeah. As I mentioned, there is a different method based on sizing, based on, size of the database, based on
Yeah.
type of data what you have.
That's true. That's right.
I recently, I was doing the Postgres to SQL Server to Postgres migration.
Wow, that's
So,
great.
so it was the AWS. So they are using, we use AWS SCT tool, schema conversion tool. While this happening, I will show you. So what it will do, it will take source database connection, it will take target database connection. Then you just click one time, it will report you which can be migrated, which cannot be migrated. Okay. So then you hit on migrate, it will migrate.
Wow, this is a
Here.
cool tool, though. Whoa. Wow. I will definitely check this one today.
This is very good tool.
Wow. Yeah.
See here, this is my SQL, this is my Postgres.
Ooh, wow.
I just right click here and I just ask, okay, give me report.
Yeah.
Because I don't have connection between this. No. When you click here, it will give you report and it will give you a time, how much time it will take. Then you verify, then just convert schema. It will move here.
How are you?
See here?
Yeah. Wow.
There is a setting, you can to have, this driver and all settings.
That's good. That looks wonderful.
Yeah.
This is amazing, Ayat. I've seen this tool, but I didn't know it has a wizard. What you can do with it. So now I'm just like, is this magic or what?
Yeah, you can connect to the Amazon RDS like this here. Okay. And because I just deleted, I create for just testing purpose,
Oh, and you were converting from MySQL to Postgres because I see the port number, the database, the user.
This is a SQL. This is my source. This is my source, and Postgres is my target. So in left side, I have source. Right side, I have target. So both are connecting to this schema conversion tool. So when I right click here, it will, if you see here, this is my tables because I did not connect. So when you click here, the create report, first you have to create report. So create report give you validation verification. Okay. So it is 100%. I did migration. It is 100% migrated all. Even it will convert your store procedure, functions, all object to Postgres.
Oh, man.
So if you convert, just click yes, it will convert and move it here.
Ooh, wow. There you go.
This is good to know.
Yeah. That's why I mean it's a blessing to have Mr. Haya the expert, right?
Tell me about it.
So let's see, it is refresh. Still, it will come. It's done, right? Yeah, it's done. Close, refresh. Yeah, you see here.
Oh, it's right there.
This is the, see, blog type is block. This is block. It's available. Now I took the backup on my Azure storage. Now next step is I go to my database resource. Where is my database? Okay, in here you see here Azure student. I have subscription. So this is my database resource, right? If I go to my database resource, you see here option import. You see here. This is the my database server, right?
Right, yes.
I go here, import. So it will ask me, where is the backup? This is my storage account. I will tell him, this is my storage account. This is my container, and this is my backup. Select. Okay, it's selected. So it will take automatically name, here. See here.
Okay.
Then here you have to use, see it by default taking mark admin, right? So there is two type of authentication, Active Directory authentication, SQL Server authentication, right? So I wanted to use Active Directory authentication. Okay. So my Active Directory authentication was Arij, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I need to, what was the account? Okay, I will open it here and see. What was the account? I forget. It was this one, right?
Yes, that one, yes.
Okay, I log into here and copy from there. But when you create, you have to keep in Notepad, okay? Go to users. This was, right?
That's the one, yes.
Importing. That's it. If you go to SQL Studio now, refresh it. Databases. It will come little. So you will find here your database. Yeah, coming, right?
Oh, yes.
It will take, depends on database size or all. It is going on here. See here. So now I'm sitting in Azure, right? From Azure, you can create database based on your requirement. Anything you can do from here. This is your database, the the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can create through Studio. Here. Oh, no, not here. This one. Yeah. Yeah. So it will restore here. So you have different way to do that. Okay. So I just give you example, which I mentioned the steps, in WhatsApp. See here. Yeah. See here. These all step I did. Download the sample. Okay, this is you have to do that. Create SQL resource Azure. Create storage account. Export database tier Azure. Import database Azure to database. That's it. I I have done. If you have any question.
To be honest, I don't really have any question. It was straightforward. I think I just need to practice maybe several times to get it in my brain. But it was a lot easier than when I follow the migration from Oracle to Azure. For me, it was very complicated. This one was actually straightforward.
You can see here 3 resources. This is the resource
Yes.
group. This is the resource group. Under this resource group, I have 2 resources. SQL account, storage account, SQL Server, right? So you can delete them if you want. Click here and delete. But when you do some practice or some free tier, when you finish your exercise, just delete them. Otherwise, maybe there is some hidden charges.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
And I see that the resource group is the same. So all of them are under one resource group.
that's right. That's right. This is my subscription, this is location, this is all are under one resource group. So this is, I have 3 resources club in one resource group. So this is the resource group, right?
Yes.
By definition. You can export your resources from here. Actually, this is Azure, the basic, if you take practitioner Azure or some, course.
So as you were saying, now that you have export from your on-premise to Azure, that means on Azure now you can start creating database and just manage everything from there.
That's right. You can create from here, you can create from there. You can create from here as well. You can create from here. You can also have other Azure Studio. Okay. You can like SQL Studio. Mostly people using also Azure Data Studio. Okay. I think
Okay.
Matt was talking about this maybe, right? Azure Studio. Yeah. This is the new version of SQL Studio. Okay, you can connect also from here. right? So there is many. You can also create, the Postgres. You can create MariaDB for practice. Better to create one free tier account in Azure and play around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question for you,
Yeah.
because we just migrated from on-premises to Azure. So if you say we can create something like in Postgres and so Postgres there, can we migrate from on-premises to a Postgres, for example? Or I don't know, I don't understand. When you say we can create something in Postgres and play around, how?
Yeah, you can create Postgres. Yeah, it's the same procedure. You can. I will share with document for you. For all migration for Azure. Oracle to Oracle to Oracle on premises to Azure, SQL Postgres on premises to Azure. I will share document. It is same.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You can go here. If you go here, the databases like um, SQL SQL databases. This is only this one SQL server.
Okay, so
Actually, in my this educational, I have only this one. When you
okay.
when you go there, then it will give you the all databases in the listed.
Okay.
It will go only SQL Server for me because I have educational. So when you go here, you will see Oracle, other databases also. Oracle WebLogic, this. You have appliances also, free appliances. You can download template and you can deploy and you can make practice. Many, many things. It is huge. It is not small. Okay, from my side, I finished. Mark, anything, if you have any question or something, or because the next my target is to create one, question and answer document for you. It will helpful for you for interview preparation and all. Make sense?
Okay, that's fine.
Yes,
Hayat.
sir.
Thanks very much for the job you have done. I think last week we agreed that people should send in their telling about yourself. I haven't gotten it.
We can barely hear you. You are so far away.
So I don't know. I'm gonna sell my phone and buy a speaker. So I was expecting tell me about yourself from everyone, but I didn't get it. It's like you people are still shy of getting into the market, or I don't know what's wrong. Officially the class ended today. By next week we'll probably be starting the next session. And when we get loose of you, we'll be focusing on other people. So it's good to make use of us when we are still available. So please, if you are interested, get into the market. Let's hear, tell me about yourself, and we can work out something. I don't mind doing one-on-one too, if necessary, but that'll be a bit stressful. But that's still fine. So those who are ready, let me know, and then we can set up something. I wish you good luck. If there are any questions, we can answer them. If not, that's it for this course. Hello.
All right, thank you.
So I assume that there are no questions. If there are questions, I would like to answer them with regards
Yeah.
to the next step stages. And those
Me, I have a question.
Yes, please.
About the tell me about yourself. Like for me, I'm still struggling with it because once you introduce yourself and you say you've been a DBA for so amount of years, you've worked on database backup, installation, configuration, like that. After that, is there anything that you are going to add to the tell me about yourself, or that's just the summary?
okay, that's a very good question, and I think it goes a long way to say a bit about how some of you are the perception of some of you with regards to the entire course. That's coming from Agit, right?
Yes.
Agit, can you just highlight some of the things you have done in this course? No, don't say details.
Okay.
Mention.
Okay, so to begin with, we've done installation and configuration of SQL Server Studio. We've done backup and recovery. We've created roles. We've created users. We've created what's it called again? We've created roles. We've created users. We've created tables. Then also we've worked on log shipping. We've worked on mirroring. We've worked on failover and fail backup. We've worked on what do we do again? I think that's all I can remember for now.
Okay. Anybody want to add something else or remove something from what she has said?
And we just did migration from on-premises to
Yes,
Microsoft
yes,
Azure.
a migration.
You see, you've said almost everything that we've done, but you didn't put it in the way that somebody who is working will put it. And let me put it. Let me reshape what you've said in my own words. So to start with,
Okay.
you're right. We've done installation and configuration of SQL Server Engine and SQL Server Studio. We've done backup and recovery. Under security, we have created users, granted them rules and privileges, and even revoked them. On disaster recovery, we have done log shipping and mirroring. On high availability, we've also done mirroring. We've also done migration. See the evolution. And all of that falls, everything that you have done fall under a particular topic. And it will be nice that as time goes on, you should be able to break down those topics and discuss under them than just discussing blankly because you get lost. So under installation and configuration, we've done installation and configuration of SQL Server Engine and SQL Server Studio. Those are two different things. We have done backup and recovery. This is a very big area. And then you can talk about the different backup recovery strategies and the backup modes. Disaster recovery, we have done log shipping and mirroring. Then later on, you can now find out what is the difference between mirroring for disaster recovery and mirroring for high availability. Because I've also said, under high availability, we've done mirroring. And remember this morning when Hayat was doing revision, he added, under high availability, other technologies that are available are always on and clustering. SQL Server window clustering and always on. Those are other high availability technologies that we did not do, that you can read on your own. Then we've done migration, precisely from prem to cloud. We've also done Azure. So you have an idea about Azure. And the question that they will likely ask you is, what is your experience with Azure? That's a very common question. The moment you say you have worked on Azure, you're able to create your databases, you're able to create security groups. You discuss some of these things, your backup, and we saw what he was doing. You create your storage, resource groups, Those are those are things when you have done, when you are working Azure, those are things you will be doing. I'm very happy that he came in to separate the rules of the sysadmin and the DBA. So you'll be working as a DBA and not as a sysadmin. Of course, when you are saying that you did migration, many people want to know how you did the migration, and you will always discuss those overlapping activities of the sysadmin as if you were the one who did it. But in most environments, you will not have those privileges. They would have done them for you, and you will simply come in with exporting from the point of exporting, because the server will already be there. The storage will already be there and things like that. But it's good for you to know how to do those things. If you discuss that in the process, it's an added advantage. I don't know if I was answering your question or something else.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So the summary, like once we just talk about, okay, for example, we've done log shipping, we would just like highlight the things we do. There's no need to just define log shipping is this or is that. Just highlight, we've done log shipping, blah, blah, blah. Like just list the points. That's it.
That'll be better.
Okay. All right. Cause when I did my tell me about yourself and I wrote all those things, it was just like 4 lines. Then I was like, is this what I'm going to send to you? Or I don't understand. That was why I was like
It was
drawn
just like
back.
all what I've said is only 4 lines. It can never be 4 lines if you write it properly.
No, I said mine when I did mine
Yeah, that
before I
can be
asked the
well.
question.
So if I start, the first part I'll talk about installation and configuration. Then under it, I'm going to highlight 2 points: SQL Server Engine and SQL Server Studio. The next part I'll talk about backup and recovery. Under it, I'm going to highlight about 5 different points, because I'm going to talk about backup strategy, which we'll be talking about full backup, differential backup, and transaction log. But before that, I'll talk about backup modes. We will talk about the full, the simple, and the bulk. No, tell me how many lines I already have there. If I was writing,
Okay.
I'm already having
Okay.
close to 10 lines. I'm going out to the next step now. I have to talk about disaster recovery. I will talk about logs. Remember, you are just highlighting these things, but you know what is there in your mind. If somebody might ask you a question, but
Okay.
just mention. Don't go into so much detail because it's going to get you confused.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think now I got the clarity.
Okay.
Thank you.
So for to tell me about yourself, I know someone was telling me that we have to keep it under 2.5 minutes. What are your intake on that?
I really don't want to pay too much attention on time. I have to pay attention about the substance.
Okay, the content of it. Okay.
Now, most often, what I've noticed is that there are 2 kinds of people you're going to face in your interview. You face a white man or a Kuma. If you face a Kuma, you are in deep shit, but you can still go through it. If you face a white man, you're telling me about yourself will give you the job 60% of the time. Because once you have told him that I've done this, he's not going to paste you about it again.
No.
The more you tell him about you tell him about yourself, the less questions he's going to ask you. On the other hand, with the Kuma, the more you tell him about yourself, the more questions he has to ask you. So, to be on the safe side, prepare your telling about yourself to be holistic, cover everything that you know. Sometimes they will intervene. Especially Kuma, they will intervene and stop your telling me about yourself in the midway. But let it be well structured in such a way that you are telling it in such a way that the person who is listening to you knows that you know what you're talking about. I will not start by talking about installation and configuration, then I talk about high availability. Then I come back and talk about security. Then I go back and talk about backup and recovery. If you start going, if flip-flopping up and down like that, it already confuses you and even the person who is listening to you. But if you go chronologically, it shows what you're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but please let's look at this. Tell me about yourself. It is very important before you go online. For those who already have their CVs, for those who have their resumes, for those who don't have, please let's have a well-structured resume for you, and then we model your tell me about yourself, because in most of your interview you will be reading it, so it is good to write it down.
I have another question. Like you said, for we that don't have the CV, that you are going to help us, right?
we have a group that's professional that produces. If you think that you don't have a CV, you want it from scratch, we can direct you to the group and they'll produce it for you within 2-3 days. It's going to be very, very professional and it's going to cover everything.
Okay. How much does it cost?
I think it's 100, more or less that. I don't really know, but I think it's 100.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other question, please?
So this is okay, Mark. I will send the question and answer some interview preparation. I think it will be very helpful for them to actually basically there is a different type of interview. If you go with the HR interview, it is a different question. If you go technical interview, you have some different question, right?
That's fine. Right. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you, dear. Thanks. Bye. Then take care.
Mm.
Any question?
Okay,
Just send a WhatsApp. So we are here to help you. Okay.
okay, no problem.
Okay.
So you guys don't
Thank
mind if we
you.
keep sending WhatsApp
It's
questions?
okay. It's okay. If you do you have any some issue, you can. Yeah. I don't.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mark. Thank you. Bye. I will.